Hello, it's good to have you here. My name is Bukola. I'm a career mentor and an inspirational speaker. I also write daily to thousands and thousands of career professionals in the bid to inspire them and spur them into taking massive actions towards their goals. Thank you for joining me here and for watching this video. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt like you were helpless and you did not have a choice, especially with set rules and standards and the ways of doing things? Or you've been in a situation where it looked like, oh, you do not have any choice here, just do as we have said, and that is it. Have you been in that kind of situation? And you then realize that someone else comes into that same situation with the same people, with the same standards and the same rules, and the person demanded for a change or demanded that they be considered separately because of some circumstances, or they just demanded that they could not live with those rules and standards and it needed to be updated for them. And then that happened, and that person got maybe better opportunities, better benefits, or whatever you could think of. And then you stood there thinking, why didn't I challenge this? If this has ever happened to you, I am speaking to you right now that is a fact of life. You always have a choice in any situation. You always have a choice, and it is not the case of, oh, you always need to take action. Even in your inaction, you definitely do have a choice. Now, this is where I'm going. People have set some standards based on their past experiences and based on the things they have experienced before in the past, or things they've been exposed to, or based on how they've related with other people in the past. So they have set these standards, and this is not just individuals, this also affects organizations. So the set of rules and standards you're seeing have been put there because of prior relationships with people and how issues have been dealt with in the past. It is not as though they are rules and regulation from above. It is what it is. We humans create those rules and regulations just basically to make sure that we guide ourselves and things go as planned. This is where I'm going. You do not need to feel in any situation that you need to say yes to a preset standard if it does not favor you, or if you know that it will make you to continue to operate at a level that is lower than you have potential for. Okay, so I want you to have a mindset of, even though this is a preset rule, even though this is a preset standard, I determine my lived experiences, and that makes sense to me. So there have been situations where people will go into an organization while they are trying to get in there. They will be given an offer for a job, and the first offer that comes to them is what they take and they run with it. And then they get into that organization, then see that people who are coming in at a lower level earn more than them. And that's because at the point of entry, they didn't think they had a choice to negotiate their terms. And this also applies in business as well, in business deals and contracts and all sorts. You always have a choice. Now, there are three different ways people think when they come in contact with different lived experiences and preset rules and standards. Some people think up, some people think in a parallel version, and some people think down. Now, those people who think up always almost win, because they, beyond what you've presented to them, they have the understanding that it could be better. So they run with this mindset of, it can be better than what you're presenting to me right now. So they always ask for more, because there is more where that is coming from. And that is not just from a financial perspective, even from a flexibility perspective, and from the perspective of culture, from the perspective of what can I do and what can't I do. Always know that there is more and you can demand for more. And those are people who think up in every situation. There are people who think in a parallel version. They'll be like, okay, if this is what you can afford to pay me, bring it. Or they just automatically say, oh, this is the rule, then let's all live by it, even though that rule does not favor them and it's not allowing them tap into the best potential. There are also people who think down, and I think that is even worse, because this type of people always think that they do not deserve what is in front of them. So these are people that are obsessively over compliant, excessively obedient, excessively, they always think so little of themselves, such that even if this is the rule, this is what you need to do, they go out of their way to inconvenience themselves to make sure that they are not even getting to basically the threshold of the rule. Like, they are saying, you know what, I'm happy with this tiny thing I have, and I don't want more, or I don't want to scare a business away, a potential client away, so they would sell below the cost of the service that they are offering. That sort of scenario. So those are people who think that they don't think that they deserve to be wealthy. They don't think that they deserve to be paid for the service that they offer. They don't think that they deserve that raise. They don't think they deserve that promotion. Some of them even think, oh, they know that they are not better than anybody else, and as such, everybody else is better than them. And that kind of mindset is going to keep them in locks and chains, even though it's not physical locks and chains, but it's a mental one, so it will keep them there. So in every situation that you find yourself, I want you to continue to think up. If I can be provided with this type of opportunity, it means that there are more opportunities out there. So for instance, I get a call and I was offered an opportunity. Immediately, what comes to mind is not even just that opportunity. I'll probably put that to the side. I'm like, if this opportunity can come my way, it means that there is more that I can be out there, or there are more opportunities like this out there that I can take advantage of. And that is how it is. And sometimes, especially for those who do not know how to create an offer for the service that they provide and all of that, it is important that you have a threshold above what you're always offered, which will be pretty much your worth anyways. So people will try to offer you, and the fact that something is market value does not mean that is your own value, because you can be above the average person in the market. And that is why it is called. So a lot of people like, what's the average market? Even in terms of like their salary negotiations, they will just be like, what is being paid for this role in the market? And they just stick there, forgetting that what the average is accumulation of different points and sample data, where in which case there are some people within that same data that are outliers, earning so much more, because there are not too much top thinkers, it is just not, it is, I mean, there are more people in the bracket of average and more people below average than those that are top thinkers. By the time you aggregate all the data together in terms of the amounts that is being paid to different people based on the impact and based on the quality of work that they do and different things, and people just knowing their value, it then comes to an average which mirrors more of those who are in that average bucket and below average more than those that are above average. I don't know if you understand this illustration that I have just done, but I'm just basically telling you that because something is market value does not mean that is your value. Within that same market value, there are outliers, and I want you to stick in the outlier position. So in any situation you get, make sure that you're using challenge, because challenge is a great tool in your tool set. Make challenge work for you. Challenge everything. Challenge, ask questions. There will be warm challenges obviously, but make sure you continue to ask questions. Don't just take things as they are. I've seen people who will come into an organization and they will come into that organization with like, oh, this is just what I was offered. I've talked about it before. This is what I was offered, and they will take it. They will come in and people will say, oh, you can't work flexibly, we don't do that here, or you can't take this hybrid, we can't do hybrid for your position because of the kind of position it is. Then somebody else will come in and the person will be like, for me to be able to come in here, sorry, I would have to do hybrid, or I'll have to have this flexible work situation. And then you'll be like, another one happens where 2 years ago, a year ago, when you could have demanded for a change, you probably did not. Then somebody comes in now, and because of that person, they are changing the whole rule so that everybody can benefit. And you're wondering what changed. Nothing changes, just that people who are courageous enough to demand a change make change happen. So you need to get to that point where you're, especially if something is, it doesn't even necessarily need to be inconvenient, it just needs to make sense to you. And if you feel like you're not being offered what your real value is, then you should be speaking up. Okay, the time to play victim is over, because a lot of people, due to all of these illustrations and examples that I've given, a lot of people play victim. They'll be like, oh, but if it was me, they didn't listen to me, or whatever may be the case, or even if did I need to ask, or all of that. There is no room for that. I just want you to develop and cultivate that mindset of, you can stay in control of everything that feeds into your model of greatness if you do speak up, and if you take on the challenge, and if you know that you always have a choice. So don't just come into a place and, oh, this is how things have been done, then you're going to just stick with it. If it does not work, it doesn't work. Learn to speak up and learn to put a foot forward for change. Thank you very much for sticking with me in this video, and see you in the next one. Thank you for taking your time to watch this video. I'm sure you enjoyed it and you learned something during the course of watching this video. If you liked everything you saw, please subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification so you can get notified every time a new video is dropped, to inspire and for you to take action. Also, like, share and comment so that others can also see this and benefit from it. Thank you, and see you in the next one.